go to straight meth. Just eat it like rock candy. Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cyranex, clocking in with my good friends 9 of 12.
Well, hello there.
And that one weirdo.
Football's back, so you know what that means. Go Taylor's boyfriend!
Yeah, for us in my neck of the woods, it's just watching the Lions implode at some point.
Oh, they look great today, actually. They were pretty solid. And they played in Arizona.
Just wait. That's all I got to say.
I'm a Rams fan. I'm a Rams fan. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Bills fan, I win.
Yeah, 4 straight Super Bowls, no ring. Say it loud and proud.
Yeah.
Football team with such troubles, they wrote it into the X-Files.
They did. When you look back real quick, at those 4 appearances, and they really were just, I mean, regardless of their Super Bowl appearances versus the rest of the season, like they were the best team in football. However, they were okay. So you can definitely make the choke. You can definitely make the choke argument. I agree with that. But Thurman Thomas lost his helmet, and then he disappeared, and then like other things happened to where it was like,
there's
like,
so much.
Yeah, there's so many instances
in an era of football where, like, Jim Kelly changed the whole game with hurry up offense, and that we still never took any rings. It was rough.
Yeah,
but somebody they did arrest the guy who burned down one of my favorite bars in Buffalo recently, and now he's taken the title from Chris Christie as the most hated man in Buffalo. So.
Wow. And all it took was property destruction by way of man's first invention.
All right, and now that was our sports talk. Let's go ahead and get into weather. And by weather, I mean our. We're not doing icebreakers anymore. Water cooler talk.
You get that thing?
All right. It's been a little bit since we've had all 3 of us, so I've good talk about all of these
shenanigans.
Ones. Yeah. All right, Ember, let's talk about the article you brought.
Like, constantly distracting Sean is the name of the game.
It's pretty much par for the course. It doesn't take much, so.
Boogie.
Yeah, I had trouble choosing articles because it's National Hobbit Day, and they did announce a new date release that's coming out in March 2025, the kind of chore quarry Hobbit game that's coming out. But I ended up choosing this. World of Warcraft fans, they want to see a restriction removed from the game, and I'm like, but do we? So it's an interesting take, and I looked at both sides of it. So Mythic plus Dungeons, and I'm not Mythic level, even though I was rating. I was never Mythic level, and I understand. I mean, you get good stuff from it, and you have a lot of extra difficult content and everything. But you can only enter queues to 5 at a time, and it takes a lot. I mean, the gearing for Mythic and the practice and the rating, and then getting to Mythic rating. But they're starting to feel like it's not enough. They hope that Blizzard will raise the cap 10 to 30. 30's, I think, a lot. But even 5 different queues. But there's a few changes that I think might work well, is having the queues expire a little bit. But there's so many classes. And with the new expansion making it so much easier, War Within, to level your alts.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like that's why this is hurting now. That's why people are feeling that pain now. Because they've actually got max level alts, and it takes a lot less time. So you can you want a queue for with all of your alts hoping to get into a Mythic Plus, but maybe they should expire at shorter times. There are pros and cons, but I can see where that's really hitting now. Because in the past, I mean, just to do all the work and be that good, nobody needed more than 5. Like
Yeah.
I guess people wanted it, but you also should go outside someday. Um, and you should eat. You know, I like the first thing came to my mind seeing the headline was like, oh well. I mean, we don't want people dying in internet cafes again playing World of Warcraft, right? Like,
Yeah.
y'all calm down. But looking a little further and knowing how much easier it is to level alts now, I think it would make sense to give them more queues that people can get into, and then maybe just reduce the duration of the queue so they expire, after a certain amount of time, so that you're not just raid after raid after raid at this high level.
Yeah.
And getting all these rewards that like other people, it's so hard for anyone to get.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely understand your reasoning behind it, and the thing is, like, in regards to like a lot of endgame World of Warcraft stuff, like I really like the fact that they've included delves now, and that's going to be kind of an evergreen thing, because that's by far my favorite content, because I don't have to rely on a group to do it. So I literally have never even even done anything with Mythic Pluses. Just even reading the description of this in this article, it's
See,
like,
I like
oh, so
delves
that's what it
too.
is.
As a casual player, I'm liking delves too. But I did talk with Shave Maddox about that the other day, and he plays for like just more time than we tend to, and he's finding that what was the tower thing during Shadowlands?
Torghast.
Torghast. He People hated Torghast, and that's they're doing delves instead. He's finding it to be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and like Torghast better because the delves are, I mean, repetitive. Once you get to, you're just doing the same thing over and over. It just gets a little harder, and
Well,
then you max it out. So
there are differences. Like, I don't know what kind of, like, if there's a set rotation or anything like that, but there are modifiers to a lot of the delves. Oh, I mean, I personally like them partly because I've never played Shadowlands. I've never done Torghast. Oh, I like it for the fact that it's solo content that gets you end game gear.
yeah, and it hasn't been for me. Torghast was such a like, it became a chore, repetitive, and you had to do it. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like I have to do it with delves.
Yeah, and even so, it's like the fact that there's actually there's 13 delves that you can go through, and there's I haven't even gotten through all the delves yet. I haven't gotten through to them yet. The one problem I'm having with delves is the delver's journey seems to be bugged. There's like, for whatever reason, and I'm not the only one. I've looked on the forums and stuff like that, but there's a bunch of people, me included, who are not getting any more advancement in the Delver's Journey. Like, there's a single quest that you can get that gives you 1,500. Oh, they actually call it Delver's Journey. It's a hidden currency as part of that quest. Beyond that, I have not gotten any more from any of the delves. I've gotten the undercoins, which is the currency for buying stuff at the vendors. Have not advanced it any further, and apparently I'm not the only one. So there's some kind of bug there, because there's people even like
Shane was cursing about it the other day. I haven't run
Yeah.
into it yet. I've played so little, but
yeah, but it's like, yeah, there's like people in Filthy Casuals. They're just like, yeah, I'm almost up to the second reward already, and it's like, how? I'm like halfway through to the first one, and yeah, it's so there's something going on there, but hopefully these will be figured out with the next major patch.
yeah. So I'll be curious to see if they make any
But-
changes to the Mythic Plus. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just even the description of Mythic Pluses, I'd probably something I would like. I mean, I do like the dungeon. I don't like raids that much. I prefer dungeons over raids, but I just haven't gotten into the Mythic Pluses yet, so I'm unfamiliar with that whole process. But it'd be nice to see fewer restrictions in general. So, all right, Theo, what article did you bring us today?
So I don't know if last time you guys went on the article that I posted, if you mentioned that one.
We did.
Okay.
Yes.
So this one here, and for once I
Because it
didn't
would kill
go.
you to listen to the show.
Well, if it did, I wouldn't know. Maybe that's why because people are like, well, would it kill you to shut the door? And it's like, well, it might. Why do you think I don't take the risk? Anyway, so this one here, and this is something we've touched base on, for many episodes. And I love that it's kind of now in writing, where it's like, yeah, we know. And, the industry in and of itself, I wouldn't say it's imploded, but it's definitely kind of fell under its own weight. Certain places like, Ubisoft, sorry, got that phlegm booger again. And so many of these companies that are pushing to get things made, and they all kind of fall flat. They're trying to meet a deadline that's almost unrealistic, firing so many people at the very end of it just to keep their bonuses. And then it's like, well, yeah, if you do something right the first time, in most cases, that's what people deserve, especially the amount of money they pay, amount of time they play this stuff. So the article basically goes over like what we've touched on, for so long, about where smaller studios need to really get not just kudos, but like the attention from these bigger studios, where it's like, if you actually take the time and care about the characters and care about what you're doing and the execution, people will accept waiting. There used to be a time, I think we all kind of grew up in, where the ideal of anticipation made something that much more fun. And yes, expectations kind of build with the anticipation, and sometimes not all expectations are met.
But there is more fun when it works. Like, I just as soon wait and it works.
Yeah.
That's true, or that's a fair point. But it's also a case of, and that's the thing, you really touched on a good point, because we're not even talking about like, less than desirable gameplay, or hey, that didn't really go the way I want. This is more the, can we get this working to actually do what you claimed it did, and we just paid $75, if not more, for? And I think it's kind of it should be treated as a wake-up call, not just the article, but like things that are happening, this kind of downward trend of these big behemoth studios who are like, well, we're too big to fail. And it's like, yeah, well, the smaller studios who are watching you fall on your face are actually taking cues from you as an example of what not to do. And they seem to be making gamers happy, because that's weird, right? Like, make a product that we actually enjoy. Who does that? Especially in 2024. And it's very akin to so many other industries now, where package it, send it out, package it, send it out, package it, send it out. And it's like, yeah, but somewhere in between, you're going to lose the viability of actually caring about this stuff. You're just going to crap it out, and little by little, people are going to start getting the hint, especially being on PS5 and seeing you don't even get physical copies the way you used to unless you go into a GameStop. If you want to go into that place where pink eye is almost a guarantee on your way out. Yeah, you go into GameStop. Oh, did you want pink eye? Because that's how you get pink eye. Did you see all the used games? Anyway, but looking at like the new Warhammer and stuff, where it's like, and I've played it and I love it, but also it's like, it is not unheard of to have games be over $100 now. And it's a lot of extras and a lot of goodies. Sure, that's all wonderful, but you think about $100 for a video game. I remember growing up, and when my parents were like, "Does that say $50 for like Mario?" And it's like, yeah, and they're like, so it's like the other Mario games. I'm like, No, Mom. He has a raccoon tail in this game. Don't you see the cover? Like, big diff, Mom. Come on, catch on. Get with the program. But the article really touches on points of what smaller companies are doing, and they're basically staying on track, on point on what they do well. And it's literally a case of, do what you're supposed to do. Get it right. If you don't get it right, make it a point to try to get it right and actually handle it in the best way. I think one thing that's happened with a lot of these games that kind of fall on their face is two things come to mind. One, nobody says they're sorry. And two, nobody says they're taking the game offline. That Contour is a perfect example. It's like, oh, well, we're backing up on it. It's like, no, you spent $300 million and you pulled the plug out of the wall on this thing, like Johnny from the first Airplane movie, where it's just, like you just salted this thing to earth, and that was it. So, and we talk about, some of the smaller games and how much we love them because we know that care is taken. We know that, attention to detail, like it matters to the people making it because they know it's going to matter to us. And, these bigger studios, somewhere along the lines, they have to get with the program because now they're just, and I love mentioning this disaster wreck. Obviously, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. How much money they put in as much as how much money they lost. Yeah, it's like the GDP of like small African countries. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So,
well, I think one of the major differences between like bigger companies and the smaller indies is the bigger companies have shareholders. They have people who all they see is money. That's it. They don't see anything. They don't see anything else. So their whole thing is like, well, why don't you just release this game so it'll make us money? And it's like, well, because we haven't finished. And it's like, we don't care. Just sell it. Someone will buy it and just make us more money right now. Whereas indies is like, one of the big things that I remember with Helldivers 2, with Arrowhead, is like they were the ones that were getting shot in the foot the whole time because PlayStation was shit in the bed, and they just wanted to make an awesome game, which is what they did. What they're still doing, they're making improvements. They actually just recently had a major patch which updated a bunch of stuff. It's like they just want to make the game. They just want to make something that's cool so people will play it. That's how they make their money. Whereas PlayStation as a whole is like they can just ship out crap and hope that that enough people buy it to warrant it. And the thing is, now it's getting to the point where we're not dealing with that anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah, falling on their face the way they have, like sooner or later there has to be an endpoint because it's kind of the ideal of, hey, that didn't work. Hey, that didn't work. Hey, that didn't work. You think we should keep doing it? Oh yeah, maybe it'll work this time. And it's like, just try to get stuff to stick to a wall. And sooner or later, you're going to realize that the wall's going to win, especially if it's something that you're just flinging. And that's kind of what they've really done as far as a lot of these big studios. It's just, we'll get it out, we'll shove it out. It's almost like that scene kind of reminds me a little bit in what is it, Tron Legacy, where it's like, when they talked about the new operating system they were putting out, and it was like, well, what's the difference between this one? What's the difference between 11 and the new one? We put a 12 on the box.
We put a 12 on the box.
Yeah, we put a 12 on the box. And it's funny because there used to be a time we would laugh at that, like with iPhones. And now it's like, it's really not funny. iPhones are like $1,500 a pop,
Yeah. This is why I get whatever phone is offered by Google Fi, which it's actually pretty nice phones. But yeah.
They'll learn the hard way because sooner or later that deficit is going to put people out of jobs. The sad thing is that at the end, as per usual, the people who suffer the most, because the companies I could give two about, a lot of these people deserve to fall on their face and, live in a Yugo. Like they got it coming. Moral, creative, bankrupt, chuckleheads. The people who get hurt the most is the gamers. They're the ones that pay the money and get disappointed. They're the ones that
Well, and
spend the time.
arguably, this
the
mentality
developers.
of pleasing the shareholders is it is hurting developers. The layoffs are reflecting that.
Yeah, because of course it's never any of the corporate guys above everyone
Right.
that
Middle
are
management,
it's
or
none
the
of
guy
their
who came in to restructure and
Yeah.
and like streamline your payroll,
yeah
and then they just let go of developers and hurt. That whole field is unfortunately full of a lot of unemployed people over these bad decisions.
yeah
Yep. From
I mean and
empty
that,
suits with emptier heads.
yeah
Spreadsheet guys.
yeah there's this one guy that I periodically see on Instagram who's doing these videos of like the worst bosses and stuff like that, and just going through these email messages from these bosses to like other individuals in the company, and these people are like, that's what I think of when I think about these corporate guys. Is like they're just some of the dumbest people sometimes. It's like they don't understand the process that goes into making a successful product. They just see the money and just kind of hope that it's like, it's good enough. We'll even if it fails, we'll still make money off of it. And like I said, eventually that's going to get to the point where it's not going to work anymore. They're just like, they actually will have to make a good product for us to buy it, because
Heaven
we're
forbid.
yeah, because there's all these independent studios, we're getting great products from these indie studios now, and it's like you don't have to focus on the graphics.
We have somewhere else to go.
Yeah,
Like Theo
yeah.
said, that's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
keeps coming up here.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's like, yeah. Anyway,
It's frustrating. And
Yeah.
reading the article, and of course, like right off the bat, I was like, oh yeah, this is us. Like this is what we've been, harping on as well as pointing out for some time. But it's like, to get it in writing, and obviously it's probably not the first article, won't be the last, but it really condenses down the problem. It really is a case of, like all these boardroom guys, with their cigars in their mouth and all that stuff, and they, why isn't this working? And it's like, because what you're doing isn't good.
yeah,
It's not working because it is not what people want. It is not what, the gamer culture wants. And, I think there was a time people used to think, well, they're just fickle. And it's like, no, gamers really aren't that fickle. They like different genres, sure. But as far as like what constitutes a game worth playing, it's not, at least in my mind, it's not that complicated.
yeah,
Give me something engaging. And even if we're not talking about like something that's really involved, like Baldur's Gate or all this stuff, where it's like, yeah, you really have to get encompassed to this, which is wonderful, but have me engaged and give me a reason to care. Even if we're talking about like Mario Kart or like Speedstorm from Disney, which is kind of a knockoff, but it's fun. And it is literally one of those things. It's like junk food for video game brain, where I'm just like, and then I turn it off. And that engaged me. And a lot of cases, that's not the reason why they don't make this stuff the way it should be done is because honestly, they don't care. A lot of these guys, they literally have like a copy of their contract on their desk next to the deadline that this stuff's supposed to come out, and all they see is zeros. And then games lose $200 million. And we're not even talking about like, over time, over the 10 years, this is like this, we did the math and okay, we came up short. So the game's been out a month. The number of people playing left is smaller than my graduating class in 1993 in high school.
Yeah.
Like, nobody likes this.
Yeah. That wasn't even a month. That was 2 weeks afterwards. I'm assuming you're alluding to Concord.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we can keep beating this horse till it's obliterated, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it'll
It's
come
a
around
story.
too.
Yeah.
He sure does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the least surprising move ever, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company have officially sued Palworld. Oh, this is my surprise face. Yeah.
I'm surprised you had one. Ah.
Yeah. But what's interesting about this is not necessarily that they sued Pocket Pair, which is the company that makes Pal World, but the fact that they sued them for patent rights, not copyright. So, like, there was once again bringing up Core, because they did talk about this one as well. One of the insights that they said is what they could be potentially suing them over is the patent of the Pokeball, which in Pal World is called the Pal Sphere. That there's like some kind of date line, like there's some series of dates that correspond to Nintendo patenting it. Like, I don't know, there's some like just legalese junk going around, but that's the theory or the rumor that Nintendo and Pokemon Company are suing them because of the patent of the Pokeball and how similar their Pal Spheres look to that, which is strange to me because look at any of the creatures and you could, like, in a lot of them you could theoretically claim copyright infringement or some kind of, intellectual property infringement there. This
Right.
like
And I'm just curious about it being a patent, like, because it's not. I mean, there are gadgets you can buy, but how do you get a patent on? It's not a
I don't know.
physical item. Like, you can copyright and
Like,
trademark.
yeah, like it's
I don't understand a patent for that.
yeah, but
And if there are real ones, I need one immediately.
yes, that would be awesome. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that it's patent rights, infringements on multiple patent rights rather than copyright infringement. So I don't know exactly where this is going to go. Again, I'm the biggest surprise about this whole article, about this whole situation, is the fact that it took this long for them to finally sue. I mean, we thought.
Well, I guess only because it's Nintendo, though, because they are so protective.
Yeah, they are super litigious.
Yeah.
It's like I do not understand why they are this litigious about stuff. That's also, I really like saying the word litigious. It's a good word. But
because it almost has titties in it. That's why. Just guessing. It's in your little reptile brain somewhere that it feels
And
good to
this
say
is
it.
what happens when the three of us are back together. Oh, it's so great. Now I'll never be able to say that word without going.
I mean, at least
Yeah,
this one's
now.
not going to hurt fans as much as some of their litigation has.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
not, the games they won't let people play
yeah,
competition crap.
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I'm still trying to recover. Well, that used to be a good word for me. Now it's
Now it's a
somewhat-
really
Even
good
more
word.
fun. What's
Well,
the matter with you?
yeah.
I was gonna say.
Okay. Well, on that note, yeah. To no one's great surprise, Pocket Pair is getting sued. All right. Before we get back to work, I'd like to mention our Patreon, patreon.com/PTGcast. If you'd like to help us out with our paychecks each month, you can go there. Drop us $1, $5, $10. It all helps out, and we all appreciate it at patreon.com/PTGcast. And with that, let's go ahead and get back to work.
Morning break is over. Morning break is over.
All right, so today we're going to be finishing up our theme of VR essentials, and this is another really good one that is a good starting point for people trying to get into VR. This is Beat Saber. I think any console, any format, platform, whatever, needs a really good rhythm game, and this is definitely one of those. Developed and published by Beat Games. It is $29.99 for Windows via Steam, or you can get it directly onto the Oculus, so you can play it wherever you go, which is also a good feature of that. Excuse me. Like I said, it is a VR rhythm game, and
Yeah, I just want to play this on a street corner now. Like,
I mean, you can. I mean, you can. You can get
I love
it.
that.
That's one thing that is pretty cool about the the quests is they are self-contained.
You could literally play them anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, basically, yeah. The biggest thing
Yeah.
is you have to buy it specifically from that store onto the headset. Like I have Beat Saber on Steam. So for me to play it, I would have to play it off of my computer, which means I have to be connected to the Wi-Fi and everything like that. I would have to rebuy it from the Oculus store to play it directly from the Quest headset. But if you do that, you can like literally go to any open area, map out your play area, and you can play it there.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool that way.
We the jury find you.
But yeah, like I said, it's a VR rhythm game, and players have used two different colored lightsabers, legally distinct lightsabers, to slice blocks that are set to the music. And the blocks specifically, like that's the basic gameplay. Is you have these blocks, different colored blocks coming towards you, and you have to slice them in the
like
correct
Guitar
direction.
Hero style,
Kind of, yeah. But
except there are directions you swing.
yes. There's only a maximum of 2 colors, and you have to slice them in the correct direction with the correct saber. So there's some once you get into the more
Unless
advanced.
there's a dot.
Yes.
It took me a while watching to figure out the dots.
Yes. Dots
just
are
be hit.
unidirectional. Yeah, they can, but they still have to be the correct color.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one of the big things is sometimes, like, even when I'm playing, I get lost in, like, what color is what, and sometimes they switch. So, like, your right hand, like, by default, your right hand is blue, your left hand is red. And if you're not paying attention, you'll start, like, hitting, like, the red blocks will be over on your right side. So it's not always just that side is what the color it is. They do switch. And
Well, it makes for great gameplay though, because like a lot of times, like because the blocks never switch. Like the one color is gonna be on one side and the other color is gonna be on the other side, but the direction you have to hit them switches. So you have to switch your sabers like cross arm and swipe out to hit them the right direction.
The colors do switch. It's like you can get red
Really?
blocks
I
on
was
your
watching
right
a
side.
lot. I didn't
I mean,
see
like
much of that.
it may be the difficulty settings as well, because some of them get ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I was watching some like
Oh,
Extreme X crazy, and it was somewhere weird. Like they didn't quite go with where you would expect the music to go, and it seemed like that would make it extra hard because whether it's the drum or the guitar or the melody and stuff. And my son just heard me commenting on that when he was walking through the room, and he just like drive by. That's because the fans make them.
well, yes, there's one thing about that is there are mods that allow you to download fan-made songs. There is a custom map maker for your own custom songs as well. The problem is like you have to be careful with those if you wanted to try to stream those because it's licensed music and it's like it's not. There's a lot of music that you can play on this game that is not streamer safe. I have looked it up. The OSTs 1 through 7, which is like it's actually music for the game, so you can freely stream that on the game, but it's like not much else can be. But yeah, for your own personal play, they do have mods that allow you to download custom songs. They do have mods that allow you to download custom sabers. Which is pretty cool. Like some of the designs that they have for the sabers are really cool. They actually make them look like swords. There's, a bunch of different varieties of things you can do. But yeah, the normal gameplay is just you have this track of notes coming towards you, and you're trying to hit them with the different colored sabers. And over time, they have given you more modes to play. Like there is a single saber mode, where all of them are the same color. All of them are the whatever color you have for the right saber. That one gets kind of ridiculous because those ones typically start at expert, which depending on the song, I can get I can get pretty good at expert depending on the song. It really depends. Like one thing that's kind of cool is when you pick a song, it displays like what a bunch of the stats are, like what the tempo is, and specifically how many blocks per second there are. And I've found that my limit is right around 3 per second, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're in the middle of the song trying to figure out where the rhythm is, like what the pattern is,
How you're
and
gonna
it's-
have to move your saber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I've seen them go as high, like once you start getting into like the high, like expert plus, they get up to like 6 or 7 blocks per second. And it's like seeing some of the gameplay footage of these people who are, to me, it just looks like they're going it's like borderline seizure, and they're just
I saw some of
nailing every
those
note.
that they're like, "This is my first playthrough of this." No,
No,
I do
no.
not believe you. Now when it's set up where like that super high velocity coming at you, and the arrows are in such a way that you're having to spin,
Yeah.
you're like, like
It's
you don't
like-
see it that far ahead. Like your
Yeah.
brain could not have. This looks like fun to me. I feel like it would take a lot of practice, but
Yeah.
you could get
I mean-
better. But those walls,
Yeah.
since they made the platform bigger, like from what I saw when it came out, the platform was really small, and I might have found that disorienting, and now it's bigger.
Yeah.
And being that I have some like vertigo issues in some games to begin with, some of the backgrounds are a little like, no, I need it less busy or I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
But they're like walls that coming at you. Besides just having to hit things, you have to
Yeah, you do.
dodge sometimes a wall or duck, or sometimes there's two and you gotta like sidestep between. That kind of thing, I know from experience in other in even movies or whatever, but other games, if there's a constrictive element on top of the movement,
Yeah.
nope.
So then another thing that's really good is when you're looking at the main menu, if you look to your left, there is an entire wall of modifiers that you can pick from. And one of them is no walls. So you can actually turn that off. It lowers your score, but if you're just playing for the sake of playing the game, then who cares about that anyway? I will say though, that will make the song Fit Beat extremely easy, because almost that entire song is walls, because it forces you to like duck down,
It's
move
the
to the
other
left,
movement.
move. Like literally, the
Yeah.
song is telling you what directions to move. So, and that was the song that I was playing, where it's like halfway through, it's like, wow, why do my legs hurt so much? And it's like that. Shortly after that, I sent out the tweet that it's like, tell someone you're middle-aged without telling them you're middle-aged. I need to stretch before playing Beat Saber. That was the song that did it. So it can be a pretty good workout, depending on how like the movement you have to do. But
Did
yeah,
you compete with anybody?
I have not. I've
'Cause I
not.
watched some of that, and that looks like fun.
Yeah, I haven't done any of the multiplayer stuff yet. I've done basically all solo so far. Just trying to learn the songs and just like I also just like a lot of the music. There's like specifically there's one custom song that is like my go-to song. First of all, because I like the song itself, and second of all, it's like the perfect pace for me. It's like my kind of my warm-up song, which is the remix of Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger from Daft Punk. Great song, love it. And the person who made the map did it impeccably. Like the motions that you're doing make sense that you would be making them. It's nice and smooth, but it's it's got a good rhythm to it, and that's my go-to for that's my warm-up. And then I try going to some of these other songs, and it's like some of the songs, even if it is less than 3 blocks per second, it's like the motions just don't make sense to me, and I just flub it all over the place.
I watched somebody
Context.
playing
Anyway.
a Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, and it's
I was
like,
like, what exactly is happening? Because sometimes, yeah, I said like sometimes it's the words, and sometimes it's the drums, and sometimes it's a guitar solo, and then sometimes there's nothing in the music. It's just like a track that's barely in the background, doot, 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 and that's in there too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my brain would need something to latch onto that belonged to the music
Yeah.
to even hope to get in a rhythm. Literally, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
a rhythm game, of hitting these
And
blocks.
that is kind of potentially the hazard of having the custom maps for the songs, because these are just made by people. They're not necessarily professionals or anything like that. So kind of it's kind of up in the air depending on the person. Like the person who did the harder, better, faster, stronger one has a whole bunch of different songs that they've done. I believe Heisenberg Girl is the name of the mapper, and they're actually really good. They're really well done. But other than that, apart from like the official songs that come with Beat Saber, it's a little up in the air. But I think a lot of the official songs for it have a lot better rhythm to it. But yeah, it's
And
definitely
I feel like I would need that to feel like I was getting better at it, unless
Yeah.
you're a phenom and can just
Yeah.
do all the things.
But
I
some of
feel
these,
like it definitely, because you could take your own pace, you can pick different levels, you can pick different songs, you can
Yep.
customize. But first you're getting used to the rhythm part, and then the color part, and then gaining the muscle memory to like
yeah,
this one's blue and this hand's red, right? But then you have to visually, whenever you do a new song, for the first time, pick up on like the arrows, and then I feel like then that would train in
yeah,
as you practice, like that you automatically start to react to where the arrows are.
yeah. And what, like another thing is that I really like about the modifiers you can choose is like you can do certain things to make it easier. Like you can actually make the song slower. You can make it so that like all of the so you can take away the arrows. So like just slash it
Yeah,
in
no
any direction.
directionals. Yeah, I saw that.
You can do that. You can there's a couple of different ways you can make it. Like there's a no fail mode. There's no walls, no bombs, that kind of stuff.
Bombs.
But then yeah, there are bombs. So the if you just have to be careful where the sabers are. If you hit the sabers on the bombs, it'll end your combo basically and take away some of your energy. But and then there's a bunch of different ways that you can make it more difficult too. Like you can increase the speed of the song. You can make it so that the arrows disappear. It's like I think you can even make it so that the blocks themselves disappear as they get close to you. Some of them, like you can get insanely difficult on a lot of these songs and such. But yeah. Sorry, 1 second.
Probably one of my
Microphone.
favorite parts of this game, like when I got it for my girlfriend and me a couple years ago, was videotaping people, and especially if you can't hear, like it kind of reminds me of like Ready Player One when you're looking through people's windows and they're like doing these weird hand gestures,
Yeah.
but you can't really see. Like you'll see the VR, but you can't help but to just go, that's like the worst karate I've ever seen. That person is done in a back alley. They cannot defend themselves. So, yeah, there's so many different modes to this, and VR is one of those things where, and I really don't get motion sick. I feel like I should have all my times in Humvees, going over very unstable roads, if you will. But like this was the first time where I like had that moment where I'm like, I'm in it. I take the headset off, and then it's like almost you have kind of like if you've been rocking around in a boat and then you get on land again and you still feel like you're rocking. Yeah,
No.
I would have to take some breaks.
Which is kind of surprising to me because you don't move. It's
No.
like you're and
But your
For the mo-
brain thinks you're moving.
Exactly.
I guess I always find it's like I'm always planted in this one spot and it's basically just my arms are moving. I'm like leaning, like for me that kind of movement isn't that big a deal.
That might be how your background is set up too. Like your background in the game. Like
Yeah.
if it's got more than just the items moving at you, some of those backgrounds have more dynamic movement.
Honestly, half the time I don't even notice what the background is. I'm just so focused on the notes themselves. Oh, just because I need to, like, I'm trying to, okay, it's going to right, left, up, down, just trying to figure out where things going. And, but yeah, I mean, I still think Beat Saber is another good, like, beginner VR game. If you're just getting into VR, again, because you're for the most part, you're for the most part standing in one spot and you're just kind of moving your arms around and everything. There are different ways, different modes that make it much more difficult as well, just for the mode itself. Like they have included like I mentioned, the single saber mode. There is a 90-degree and a 180-degree mode as well for some songs, where those ones you actually do have to turn to, like, you'll have
Oh,
one
okay.
track in front of you and then this, like, it'll like move to another track over, and like, so you have to focus on different tracks as the notes come towards you. Like that one, even with lower numbers of blocks, still gets to me, because it's like I've gotten so used to looking in one direction, all of a sudden, oh crap, they're all over here, and it's like you just miss a bunch of notes and everything. So it adds more
That's
challenge
funny.
to it.
I feel like I would like that for playing to keep me from ending up with vertigo, but for watching someone play, that would mess with me.
Yeah.
the shift.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still have to
I
see
find
what.
myself really curious about the streamers. Like,
Yeah.
there are a lot of
Oh,
different
jeez.
ways they show what they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
whether they've got an avatar and you're seeing them from above, or they're doing first person, or like,
Yeah, there's like a lot of the ones that I've seen for streamers or streaming Beat Saber, which is something that I would never be able to do because it involves green screen, is they actually have like, it's like over their right shoulder, and showing onto a green screen, and they can actually project the blocks coming at them, and they like sync it together, so like their movement in the game is roughly equal to their movement outside of the game of what it appears like. I've seen that before. That's actually pretty interesting. And also just like the level of skill. These, like, I don't know how they do it. I would not want to get into a lightsaber duel with any of these people, because it's like it would be over instantly. It's like
I saw this one streamer. She's got purple hair. I don't know. She was really neat, and she was accepting everyone who was challenging her to it
yeah.
for a day, and there were all these little kids. So many little kids. There was like a 6-year-old. It's like, I've been playing for a few days, and there's like an 11-year-old, and like these kids are killing at it. But I mean, your reflexes at that point are, I don't know, necessarily fast, but I found that really interesting. And then they were talking about, and then another streamer I was watching, like, he was like, oh, it turns out a lot of the people who are playing this and want to challenge me are also play Gorilla Tag. And Rob's like, is this all like, have children ruined like what would have been this great like VR technology for gamers? I'm like, no, I think it's that with these headsets and everything, I mean, your parents get it or whatever, but also these are titles that are family friendly.
Yeah.
Like your parents are gonna go, like, you know, your little kid or whatever, and go like, "Hey, can I play Beat Saber?" It's like, oh yeah, it's like Guitar Hero or whatever. Like, unless, you know, if you've got the content locked down, and tag, and, you know, games that are, it's not shoot 'em up bloody games, right? So it's got a large crowd of younger players.
Yeah, I haven't done any of the multiplayer yet. I don't know exactly what that entails. I know that there's like you can create an avatar, customize an avatar in there. I don't know what the multiplayer actually looks like. So I've never actually done it, but I don't know, I might try it at some point. I'm pretty sure there's like a mode that's like would be effectively like a pass and play mode where you pass the headset and give everyone pink eye. But and I'm sure there's like another mode where it's online, but
I've watched some online. play, and it seems to be parallel. Like
Okay.
they're over there, like you're doing your thing straight ahead of you, like normal, but you can see them over there,
Yeah.
kind of passing, doing
Okay.
against each
Man.
other at the same time.
Yeah. But seriously, like this
Oh,
reminds
literal
me.
parallel play.
Yeah. This reminds me of like DDR back in the day. It's like you have like your people like me who have very little rhythm, and like okay, what's the easiest mode you can go on? That'll be about where I can be. And then you have these people who are like look like they've been doing this since they were able to walk. Uh, and like some of the highlight videos of people playing Beat Saber are ridiculous. Like they even go out of their way to make their own challenges for the games by like originally they would basically tape the controllers together and turn it into like a Darth Maul lightsaber and play the game that way, and it's insane watching these people play
They'd
this
have to be
game.
really specific about what they could do, though, because there are
Yeah.
definitely a lot I saw where you had to cross
Yeah.
to hit things.
Yeah.
Interesting, though. That makes me curious about people who actually know how to use swords
Yeah.
and how that may or may not help them. Because, well, I mean,
Yeah.
lightsaber fighting isn't real, and
It's real to
saber
me.
is a
Anyway.
particular style. I know, sorry.
Hey, hey,
But like knowing musicians, like my husband's a guitar player, and seeing and talking with musicians about things like Guitar Hero and rhythm games like that, where it doesn't apply. You would think people who are really great at playing guitar would be really
Yeah.
great at Guitar Hero. It's a different skill set, and it can actually screw them up because that is not the fingers you use, and it's not,
Yeah.
the same kind of patterns. And I would be interested to see, like, all right, YouTubers, like, let's get some of our sword guys out there playing this game and see if your skills help or hinder you. Like, I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I imagine like the fact that the controllers don't have as much weight as an actual sword have some kind of effect to it, not being able to feel that weight. But
But I wonder if it might make me better. I used to fence. Like, no, I'm a certified fencer with the SCA.
oh really?
Yes, with
Yeah.
single saber and offhand. Well, single epee I mostly used.
Anja.
And it's not SCA fencing isn't like stand on a line, collegiate type fencing or Olympic fencing. It's kind of all over the place where you can hit because you're trying to get the right kind of hits that would kill someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of Beat Saber, it'd be Beat Their Ass Saber.
Not inaccurate. Oh, I do kind of. I wonder if there actually is. Well, there probably is. Like you can. There's a one game that I could think of that could be considered an essential that I didn't include in this, because there's not really a whole lot of story to it. There's not really a whole. It's just basically like a collection of scenarios. Is Sword and Sorcery. Oh, and like you can make player made mods for that game where you're actually like doing a Jedi battle with NPCs. It's all like physics based stuff. So you actually have like you can control magic and everything. You can, like there's like video on the Steam page where a guy grabs an arrow out of the air, turns it around, and like just magic launches it back at the shooter, takes him out. And it's like you could probably do some
I
kind
just
of
got
fencing thing.
thrown because I don't know what game. Like Sword and Sorcery is I'm old.
I think
it's a tabletop
it's
game for me.
I think it's Sword and Sorcery. I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, if only I had some kind of internet connected
Book of all knowledge.
device for me to look up information.
Oh my God, they should invent Google for Googling.
Yeah, sorry, Blade and Sorcery.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah, Blade and Sorcery. It officially hit open full release actually on the June 17th of this year. It was in early access for a long time, but that's another one that I want to try out at some point. But I don't think there's any like actual story mode to it. Like I said, I think it's just like a collection of scenarios, but you can get some pretty interesting scenarios out of it. Oh, I'm sure they have like fencing ones, although I don't know if it has any kind of multiplayer to it. Oh, I think it might just be solo. But yeah, that one might be fun too. But yeah, I can't really think of a whole lot else to say about Beat Saber. Like for the part-time gamer aspect of it, I mean, it's just you can play for as long as the songs are, you know. And
Yeah,
that,
pick
so
up,
it's
put down, and
yeah,
like I said, to me, it looks like you would feel like you were getting better
yeah,
bit by bit.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And, one thing I forgot to mention is they actually do have a practice mode for each of the songs, for at least the officially released ones. Where you can actually it'll instead of having to go through the whole song, you can go to do a certain segment of it. It's like, okay, I really have a hard time with the chorus of this song. In the practice mode, you can go right to the chorus and just practice that part. Oh, so that helps out a lot. But yeah, it's a
yeah,
lot
I
of
love that idea.
yeah. It's like there's a certain point where you kind of because there's a rhythm. Like go figure, there's a rhythm to it. There's like certain movements that just kind of flow together that you have to kind of learn to get through these songs. Like there's I know one of them I like the right hand you have to kind of start doing like a little bit like a circle motion while the left hand is mostly just like up down. So but you have to do that at the same time, so it's like pat your head and rub your stomach type deal sometimes, but it's like you can get better with time, with practice.
There
It
were
is
patterns that I noticed that were very like, oh, this is actually like drumming, right?
yeah.
Where like you're doing like a hi hat and a snare type, more than sword play. Like,
Yeah.
very interesting how these are set forth.
Yeah. And
But yeah,
yeah,
the
I
practice would be a big deal. Because honestly, I mean, your instinct, I feel like going first in, first play, your instinct is to be just like, okay, I'm just hitting it.
yeah.
Like, it took me a minute
Yeah.
even watching gameplay to like, oh, like, because why are they doing this? Like, oh, because you have to hit it from that side. Like,
Yeah.
I thought they were just showing off.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're first starting off, you're just like you're probably in the mindset of it's like, okay, what note is that? Okay, do this. What note is that? Do this, and then eventually
Yeah,
it gets like, oh, this is just the motions of this song, and you
right.
like that. That's how you can get like the modifiers where it's the disappearing notes because it's like eventually you just like you can kind of tell where the note is just by the music and go from there. But yeah, it's this is I. There's a reason why I consider this game a VR essential. I think, like I said at the beginning of this, I think every platform should have some kind of rhythm game, and this is one of the biggest successes in VR when it comes to rhythm games. Uh, there is another one that I want to try out at some point just because it's silly, called Ragnarok. Uh, where it's like you're like a Viking on a ship and you're drumming on the war drums, but and that's even more like Guitar Hero except like in VR and you're using drums. But there's another one I think is kind of funny. But yeah, this is a fantastic game, and again for the part time gamer aspect of it, it's you can jump in, jump out really quick, do a song, go from there. But you're probably going to want to play more than one, just one song. Uh,
Yep. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Pretty addictive that way.
yeah. And it's like and it's music. It's got some really good songs to it just in general. It's got a lot of like some of the license like they have music packs that you can get as well. Like I think they just recently dropped an Eminem pack. Like unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, all of the licensed music packs and stuff are DLC. That you do have to pay for them, and they range from like I think like $5 to $10, something like that.
Okay,
But
does the DLC include the streamer's rights? Some game companies
I
do that, some
don't
don't. I
think
was
so.
curious.
I don't think so.
Because I know you mentioned earlier, and that is
Yeah.
always a question
Yeah.
for us as streamers. But a lot
Yeah.
of times, companies are getting. Some companies are good, some are not. But
Yeah.
it would seem for this game, you would want to for the publicity. Like, if you bought this pack, you can stream with it.
Yeah.
But
Unfortunately, I think on their FAQs they have a very specific list of packs that you can stream, and it's basically the OST
it's all
packs.
theirs internal.
Yeah, it's like all the ones that were made for Beat Saber. So unfortunately, I don't think any of the licensed stuff you're be safe to stream. Oh, but for just your personal use, like there's some songs on there that I would love to have like the official versions of. Oh,
I
their
saw somebody
maps.
doing some Panic at the Disco, and that
Yep,
looked like
they have a music pack for that. They do have a Daft Punk pack. They do have a, and say what you will about them, there are some songs I like of theirs. They do have a Imagine Dragons
Nickelback?
pack. No,
Okay.
I was not. I got distracted by just like, no, not Nickelback. Imagine Dragons.
But you were
what it-
there.
Who is it?
There was a
Who's it
moment
that
you were like-
hates? No.
Yeah. It's like, I know people have opinions about Imagine Dragons. There are some songs I like
Imagine
theirs.
Dragons.
They were okay. They're from Utah, I
No,
think.
now, granted, I don't like all of their music, but there are some songs of theirs that I do really enjoy, like Radioactive. I
Okay,
like.
my big okay, I can be into this moment with them was when their music was used for those amazing when the Las Vegas Knights were in the Stanley
Yes.
Cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those productions were like, I was like, all right, I'm here for this. This song is wholly different for me now. Like, there's
Okay.
actual dragons going on, like, and hockey.
So I have a very specific reason why I like the song Radioactive. So they're like, we're already in Tangentville already. So Department
Yeah,
of
that's what
Redundancy
we do.
Department. So anyways, so there's a pen and paper role-playing game called Aberrant. It's a different, it's like the storyteller system, not the D20 system, although I think there is a D20 adaptation they use it. But anyways, it's this whole world, this like campaign setting where this satellite, like this space station in space explodes, drops, like sprays quantum energy all over the planet, and years later this shows up as people basically getting superpowers. And so, but it's radioactivity. So I always, whenever I hear the song Radioactive, I always imagine it being like a theme song to that game turned into a TV series.
That'd be cool.
I would love to do something like that. Like I actually at some point had like my own homebrew adaptation for that into D20, using like the D20 modern system. I still want to. I'm still considering doing that, especially with the new version of D&D coming out. But I love that whole world, like the detail in the world, the way that they set up the background, and then just leave the background open ended, so that way you can use that as a launching off point for your characters in the world. I thought it was fantastic. I love that whole aesthetic and making the
pretty
different
cool.
characters. But yeah, every time I hear the song Radioactive, I think of a TV adaptation of that game. Because it's literally radioactivity that causes all of this. But anyways, that was the tangent.
No, it's got some great songs, but you know what song's really missing, right?
What's up?
Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
Why did I not see that coming?
Call back to pre-show. Woo!
Why did I not
We're
see that
bringing
coming?
it
Yeah.
all
anyway.
round.
And that
like
is what
Boggle,
we in the
the
biz
pieces
refer
are
to as a
there.
callback. All right.
Hello, anybody there?
All right. Before we get too much more off the rails, let's go ahead and land this plane. So, everyone, if you like what you've heard and like to help us out, a couple ways you can do that is you can give us a review over on Apple Podcast. You can follow my Twitch and or YouTube channels for our live recordings Sunday nights starting at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. Or you can become one of our patrons at patreon.com/ptgcast. Again, anything you're willing to give will help us out with our paychecks. We really appreciate it and love our patrons. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord channel and talk with us directly there. All right, everyone, thank you for listening. Join us next week for our September game night. So we've done this game before. We're going to be doing Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, except I'm going to be playing it in VR. So I'm going to be busting out this headset, and I'm going to be playing this in VR. I mean, the gameplay isn't hugely different, but I'll actually have to like manipulate the bomb and everything, and we might actually have Theo there this time, which may or may not
Fingers
help.
crossed. I'll be recovering from FanX, so I should be somewhat functional. But
Okay.
I wonder if I can do VR laying down. Like,
I think that's just called sleeping. And like, isn't that
no, not if I'm
basically?
moving.
Well,
Nice.
isn't anyway?
Okay. To our, well, I guess we'll talk about it.
Okay. Oh,
I ended up buying it, so you're not the only one who.
yeah,
has to
that's
host
right.
it, I think, but
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think
We'll
specifically, I wanted to do that one because it is one of the VR games I have that we can do multiplayer to some degree. Oh, and this whole month was VR games in general, so wanted to show what kind of stuff VR could do. So this was one of
right,
the games
and
I could think
that
of.
actually it might be it might be better if it's cross-platform for you to be doing the VR where you're actually diffusing stuff and moving things, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Like,
talk about if we can make that go.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly how the gameplay differs in VR compared to in 2D, but so we'll figure it out. And also, I wanted to keep Phasmophobia VR until next month because Halloween.
Spooky.
Yeah, so that might end up being our game night for October is me playing Phasmophobia in VR. See if we can get other people who want to play it however they want. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing next week. Is we're doing our Keep Talking Nobody Explodes in VR. I'm Sean. You can find the show and the rest of my work, links to my socials, including our Discord channel, my Twitch and YouTube channels, and the Apple Podcast listing using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. All right, Ember, where can people find you around the internet?
Go on over to 9of12.com. That's NINEOF12.com. You can find links to, well, back here, but the rest of my projects as well.
And Theo, where can people find you around the internet?
I just started a new website called thetitusly.com. Enjoy your rules.
The funny thing is, I was just about to take a drink of mine too, and stopped just in time.
That would have been what we call a twofer.
Yeah,
But we don't get twofers; they're unicorns, man.
yeah.
I can be found at rabbitandredradio.com. There's going to be a new episode. We're going to be covering the Critters franchise. I had to watch the Critters movies. Oh boy. Watching Leonardo DiCaprio in his first movie.
Wow.
Is insane. It was, and here's what was even weirder. So obviously sitting there watching them, and I'm like, okay, like good, bad Gremlins knockoff, however you want to see it. But Critters 3 came out in 91. Fast forward 6 years, and he's on a sinking ship, and Rose is letting him drown because she won't let him on the furniture. So, but we're covering that. That's going to be right after FanX. Also, along with FanX, I will be doing a panel Thursday night. If anybody happens to be in Salt Lake City and wants to hear me talk guff about not just bad casting in movies, but also Twilight, I will be there. It is the Salt Lake Convention Center. Thursday night, 7 p.m., me and a buddy of mine. And real quick, I talked to September a little bit about this, but Hobbit Day isn't technically today because fast forward to this coming weekend here, all 4 original Hobbits will be at FanX.
Nice.
Yes, and I will have.
What was your new site again, Theo?
Thetitusly.com.
Oh, that you were just. All right.
I was
so you're
goofing.
that one
Yeah.
weirdo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And with all 4 Hobbits being there, I'm looking forward to all 4 different restraining orders I will get for each Hobbit. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that sounds on brand.
It's gonna be great. Well, we've had first arrest. What about second arrest? There it is.
There's your clip, Sean.
Yeah. We've had first. Yeah.
We've already had a couple
first
this show.
arrest. What
We've
about
already had a
second arrest?
All right. Until next time, we are the part-time gamers clocking out.